Right now, on to the point.
The city of Sacramento wants to build a tiny home community for the unhoused in this empty lot here in Natomas. But I speak with neighbors who tell me why they are filing a lawsuit to stop it.
A mother and DACA recipient back home tonight and speaking out after being deported more than a month ago. A battle is brewing after President Trump orders the creation of a national voter list. California is already planning to sue. And a controversial move to resume offshore drilling at the site of a major 2015 spill, what it could mean for gas prices. But first, starting with breaking news, President Donald Trump today signed an executive order to create a nationwide list of verified eligible voters. Thank you for joining us. I'm Alex Bell. It is a move that is already drawing legal challenges tonight. Now, the order calls on the Department of Homeland Security and the Social Security Administration to make the list of eligible voters in each state. It also seeks to bar the U.S. Postal Service from sending absentee ballots to people not on each state's approved list. The president, however, does not have the power to mandate what the Postal Service does. Election officials in Oregon and Arizona are already challenging the new order. California, of course, already fighting back. A number of lawmakers with strong reaction tonight, including Governor Gavin Newsom, who says, quote, California will see him in court. But let me get to Senator Alex Padilla. He released a statement condemning the president's executive order, saying in part, quote, the president and the Department of Homeland Security have no authority to commandeer federal elections or direct the independent Postal Service to undermine mail and absentee voting that nearly 50 million Americans relied on in 2024. A decade of lies about election fraud does not change the Constitution. Congressman Kevin Kiley also weighing in tonight, saying in part, quote, there are a number of common sense reforms to improve our elections in California that would make the process smoother and promote trust. However, an executive order purporting to set nationwide election policy is not the answer, especially one that is unworkable and that would likely disenfranchise qualified voters. And Attorney General Rob Bonta tonight saying, quote, President Trump's executive order marks a dangerous and unprecedented escalation in his ongoing attacks on our elections. The power to regulate elections belongs to the states and to Congress. He has no role to play. Of course, we will keep you updated as this story develops. Tonight, a Sacramento mother deported after a routine immigration appointment is now back in the U.S. It's a story that we first brought you back in February. Maria de Jesus Estrada Juarez is a DACA recipient. She returned home after a federal judge ordered the government to bring her back, calling her removal unlawful. I want to go ahead and bring in ABC 10's Garsh Pasanga, who is live tonight at Sacramento City Hall, tracking the newest developments. And Garsh, Paul, it was a very emotional press conference earlier today. I was watching live at 4 o'clock when she actually addressed everyone for the first time, really sharing her experience. What else can you tell us?
Yeah, Alex, all that emotion coming up because this case has been going on for well over a month. So that news conference lasting about 20 to 30 minutes, and there were a lot of tears shed, a few laughs, but a vision going forward for Maria. And this was some of the images from that news conference. Now, Maria has lived in the United States for nearly 3 decades after coming from Mexico at the age of 15. Now, she is a DACA recipient and has been working towards getting her green card, sponsored by her U.S. citizen daughter. But during that immigration interview in downtown Sacramento in February, a federal agent detained her, citing a decades-old removal order when she was a teenager. But almost a month later, last week, a federal judge ruled that her removal was unlawful and demanded that she come back. Now, here's a little bit more of what she said during that news conference.
I kept thinking about my daughter every single day. That is what it gave me strength, the hope that I will come back home to her. But no one should have to go through this. Now, my focus is on moving forward, on continuing my DACA renewal, which is pending, and on fighting the injustice decision that denied my green card. I will not give up on my future or my family.
Now, Maria arrived back home late last night and is now awaiting a decision on her green card case. Now, Maria's attorney says she can't be deported anymore because of that protection that the federal judge gave her. Now, Maria is saying she's going to be using her voice a lot more, protecting and speaking out against other cases that are similar to her to make sure other people don't go through what she had to go through. And we're going to have much more on this story tonight at 11. Reporting live from Sacramento City Hall, Garch Paulsanga, ABC 10.
All right, Garch Paul, thank you so much for that update. We appreciate it. All right, now to another story that we're following. The Supreme Court will hear a case on birthright citizenship. President Trump has been trying to change who qualifies through an executive order. The order denies U.S. citizenship to children born in the U.S. to people who are in the country illegally or temporarily. The Trump administration's argument is over the jurisdiction part of the 14th Amendment that states persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. Of course, we'll be watching that very closely. And the latest in the Iran war tonight, the U.S. is ramping up its attacks while threatening to expand its operations if the Iranian regime does not strike a deal. President Trump is planning to address the country tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. We know that about 50,000 U.S. troops are now in the region as the president urges allies to step up and help reopen the Strait of Hormuz. And another front in the war, strikes are intensifying in Lebanon today, where Israel says it is launching strikes at Iranian-backed Hezbollah forces. Video circulating online showing debris falling from a building as people run for cover. Pope Leo is also weighing in on the war. He says that he hopes President Trump is looking for an off-ramp to end the war with Iran. He urges world leaders to come back to the negotiating table.
I would certainly continue to give this call to all leaders of the world to say, come back to the table to dialogue. Let's look for solution to the problems. Let's look for ways to reduce the amount of violence that we're promoting.
And as we have been talking about, and maybe you've even been seeing it yourself, the war is pushing gas prices higher and causing some travelers to rethink their spring break and Easter plans. Gas prices have reached $6 to $7 a gallon in some parts of the U.S., making a staycation a little bit more appealing. And those thinking of flying are taking a hit too. Jet fuel prices have increased significantly. Expert says this has pushed about 10% of the traveling public to stay closer to home. All right, still a lot more news to get to. Controversy off the coast of California and offshore drilling resumes near Santa Barbara. We'll have the details, and then we head out to Elk Grove, where the future is being talked about. The mayor delivers her state of the city, highlighting growth, new investments, and also a financial outlook.
And most of March, we've been talking about record-setting heat, but not today. In fact, we've got rain, thunder, and snow across Northern California. I've got a look at the forecast after the break.
But first, another headlines tonight. The pilots of 2 Army Apache helicopters that hovered next to Kid Rock's swimming pool were suspended from flying pending an Army review. But hours later, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth lifted the suspensions. Kid Rock posted videos of the helicopters on social media over the weekend. He says it's not unusual for helicopters from nearby Fort Campbell to fly near his Tennessee home. Several former FBI agents are suing the Bureau's director, saying they were unjustly fired. According to the New York Times, a new class action lawsuit accuses FBI Director Kash Patel of firing the agents for reasons that were politically motivated by the Trump administration. The employees range from veteran investigators to new recruits. And a setback today for President Trump's plan for a $400 million ballroom. A federal judge today ordered the Trump administration to suspend construction after it demolished the East Wing of the White House. The judge wrote that the president is a steward of the White House, not its owner, and the only way construction can continue is if Congress approves the plan. Goodbye, sunshine. Welcome back, Sierra Snow. This was the scene today at Sierra at Tahoe Ski Resort. As meteorologist Brendan Minchef told us yesterday, this latest storm left a dusting of snow and also some rain in the valley. I'm really happy to see the snow. Not up here, but I had some friends who wanted to go to Mammoth, Brendan, and they were like, we couldn't even go because there was no snow, so they had to switch their plans around. But it's good to see some areas getting some snow and rain. I know we really need it right now.
Yeah, we do. And the snow surveys tomorrow. So at least they're not going to be putting, the measuring stick into the dirt. There'll be a little bit of snow out there, but, it's just been so hot all month long that we've lost just about the majority, well past the majority of our snowpack. So it's hard to say it's icing on the cake. It's just kind of hardly even a consolation prize. It just looks good for, the end of March, beginning of April. Plenty of rain out there as well as some thunder, snow in the high country. It's one of those classic kind of spring storms where you've got different impacts at different elevations. The only storm today that has become severe, this one just out of our viewing area. This is Colusa County, Willows and Orland up I-5 towards 99. This is near Corning up there. Again, mainly north of our viewing area. Here's Butte County and Chico. But that's it. That's the only storm that has been severe. Parked right over I-5. Plenty of lightning and potentially even some rotation with that storm. But as we work our way back towards Sacramento and the capital region, yeah, we've definitely got some pockets of heavier rain out there. We've had a little bit of lightning in the area, but nothing severe. And it doesn't seem like anything is going to pop up and go severe within the next few minutes. But we will keep that chance for some thunderstorms over the next couple of hours before things wind down. These numbers are not just 24-hour rainfall totals, but March rainfall totals. That map not completely updated yet. Sacramento up to 0.08 of an inch of rain. If we didn't see any rain today, we would have had 0 in the bucket, and that would have been the driest March on record. 59 in Sacramento right now, 63 Stockton, 63 in Modesto. Wednesday morning starting off mostly dry outside of a few scattered showers. Temperatures in the low to mid 50s. Wednesday afternoon, scattered showers and thunderstorms in the valley. Temperatures in the middle 60s. Of another very seasonal day. Futurecast through the overnight. Snow continues in the high country, but again, mainly dry in the valley. Although by the time we get to Wednesday afternoon, similar setup where we've got snow up high, showers and thunderstorms in the foothills, and isolated showers and thunderstorms in the valley. And there's not a lot of rain and snow to come outside of areas that see thunderstorms in the valley. We're only going to pick up another 1/10 of an inch or so. And then we're back to more heat. By the time we get into the Easter weekend, we're back in the low to middle 80s.
All right, Brennan, thank you. And you can get the latest conditions anytime with our live 24/7 radar on our free streaming app. All you have to do is just scan that QR code right on your screen for the easy instructions to download the app. Again, it is completely free wherever you download. All right, coming up after the break, controversy tonight off the coast of Santa Barbara, where offshore drilling is happening again. And the new lawsuit just filed over a homeless site in a Natomas neighborhood. Welcome back in. Tonight, a group of Natomas neighbors is suing to block a new homeless shelter in their neighborhood. It comes as the city is trying to find places in all districts for the unhoused. Neighbors who filed the complaint spoke with ABC's Beck Hobegger today.
Alex, neighbors are opposing the construction of a campus comprised of 40 tiny homes meant to serve unhoused seniors. They worry it could be a magnet for crime, among other issues, and say many kids and seniors live in surrounding neighborhoods. This site at 3511 Arena Boulevard, near the intersection with El Centro Road in Natomas, is where the city of Sacramento plans on building one of several tiny home communities for the unhoused. Brian Pedro, director of the Department of Community Response, referred to a survey of seniors at existing city homeless shelters, where 89% said they'd sign up for a community like this, with one respondent writing,
"This is a godsend idea. Allows us a more meaningful way of feeling a part of our community."
But neighbors who live around here tell me they have lots of reasons why they think that tiny home community for the unhoused should not be built here. Annabelle Gonzalez lives and runs a daycare just blocks from the site.
The last thing I want to see is a shelter, a homeless shelter here. I do believe in helping people. I do it for a living. I take care of kids for a living. But this is just not the right place, and it's not the right time.
It's just setting them up to fail. There's no transportation. There's no affordable grocery shopping. There's no medical facilities.
This group of neighbors formed ASO, the Advisory Council for Legal and Ethical Oversight, and filed a 157-page lawsuit against the city Monday to block the shelter. They say they're advocating for the city to move this tiny home shelter about 4 miles away to the city-owned North Area Corporation Yard at 918 Del Paso Road. That would put it in this little patch of county land surrounded by the city, just blocks from District 1's boundary.
The challenge that the city or mayor is pushing back on us with is it's part of the county jurisdiction. It's owned by the city in county property. So it creates a little bit more of, okay, so work that out, right?
We also agree that that's a better site to minimize the disruption. So there's a better solution. It's just somehow they don't want to look into this.
Sacramento City Council member Lisa Kaplan represents this district. She wasn't available for an interview Tuesday, but provided ABC 10 with a statement saying in part, "While I support tiny home communities built on best practices, I am concerned that the city is not following those standards for this project. Although I have not reviewed the specific details of the lawsuit, I stand with my community in demanding that the city operate with transparency and accountability." Meanwhile, Nikki Jones, executive director of the Sacramento Regional Coalition to End Homelessness, told ABC 10 in part, "Attitudes that say housing options for poor people are bad for public safety are misguided, as all evidence shows that increasing people's safety and security through housing means crime is less likely."
Now, I reached out to Mayor Kevin McCarty for his take on the lawsuit. He didn't reply today, but back during the September City Council homelessness workshop follow-up, he said he's pleased about the direction the city is headed to make a significant dent in this issue, saying one of the top issues Sacramentans cite is homelessness. We'll continue following this lawsuit.
And the city of Elk Grove hosted its annual State of the City address just today. In her 6th State of the City address, Mayor Bobby Singh Allen looked back on last year's major accomplishments since Elk Grove became a city 25 years ago, while sharing a vision for the city's future. The mayor also touted the city's financial standing.
We are a financially strong city. Unlike the state and other communities around California, we are financially strong. We are adding services, we're not deleting services. And that's what our community expects from us.
Mayor Singh Allen also pointed to voter-approved Measure E that increased the city's sales tax by 1%. So far, that money has brought in $34 million. And Elk Grove really is a growing city. We recently actually featured its growth and its challenges right here on To The Point. You can stream that half-hour special on Elk Grove's growth on our ABC 10 app for free. All right, following orders from President Trump earlier this month, offshore oil drilling near Santa Barbara resumed for the first time since a major oil spill in 2015. ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Hubb brings us the latest on this debate.
Having local production of crude oil is very important to energy prices, but also to energy security of supply.
It's official. There's more oil being drilled and refined in California.
The end product produced by Chevron will be available to California consumers in some.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But will this lower gas prices for Californians? And why is there so much pushback?
Producing oil on land is naturally safer than producing oil offshore. One pipeline in California is not going to impact the price of gasoline at the pump.
Those the primary concerns of Democratic state leaders, including Governor Gavin Newsom and Attorney General Rob Bonta, who just sued the Trump administration for its federal emergency order that allowed Sable Offshore Corporation to resume operations. The president says the goal is to stabilize gas prices in California, but Sable has long been at legal odds with the state over environmental standards, ceasing operations since a 2015 pipeline rupture.
Economic and environmental impacts of offshore oil spills multiple times from offshore oil drilling.
Chevron operates 2 refineries in California, but Ross Allen with Chevron says as the state pushes clean climate goals, it's made in-state oil production and refining more difficult and expensive.
And recently, Chevron did say with those clean energy regulations by the state, you guys were reconsidering operations entirely, threatening to move out of the state. Is any of that alleviated with Sable restarting?
It's a question of scale. Sable helps.
Allen says while the supply from Sable can help produce lower cost gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel, it doesn't address the larger issue of dwindling in-state supply and increased reliance on foreign imports, meeting prices swayed by outside forces.
This won't actually fix that. But what it might do is slow the descent and keep it steadier than it would otherwise be.
California Republicans have long criticized the transition to clean energy as too ambitious.
We can't even call it a transition. It's outsourcing. We're importing the vast majority of our oil.
Meantime, state leaders say they know the continued importance of refineries as California makes that transition.
If we have a combination of imports and domestic production, we're going to be better off to maintain supply.
Jenny Hutt, ABC 10.
Chevron says that it is still testing the crude oil from Sable. California's lawsuit is over state versus federal authority, as Sable's oil rig platforms are in federal waters while the pipelines are on state land. All right, right ahead of the break, the historic moon mission about to launch and where you can watch it. Thing before we leave you tonight, Artemis 2, the historic launch to the moon, could happen tomorrow. Now, the Artemis 2 mission is set to lift off as early as 3 in the afternoon. It will take off from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, carrying 4 astronauts on a 10-day journey around the moon and back. The crew won't land on the lunar surface, but it will travel thousands of miles above it. You can watch the live coverage, of course, on our free ABC 10 app. As always, thank you so much for watching and for always inviting us into your home. If you have something you think we should be looking into, you can always email our team, at tothepoint@abc10.com. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow.